Hey YouTube, RPM out here, got a video for you, and I don't normally do political videos or anything like that, but I've been watching the Cliven Bundy deal, and I just wanted to say a few words. Regardless if you feel that he's wrong and he's a criminal and he owes, the government cattle grazing fees and stuff. My issue is with the media that's doing the stories on these, and the false information that they're giving out, and the way they're reporting it is to get people sided with the government and not the other thing, not the other side, the patriot side. And these guys here are patriots. I'll see if I can this on my computer here. So I mean, it's a bunch of cowboys and protesters. Now, one thing that I heard the media say was that Bundy owed the federal government grazing fees. And, my opinion and what I thought was that according to the Constitution, the federal government is only allowed to own three types of property. That is ports, federal buildings, and military bases. Anything else is, the BLM is Bureau of Land Management. They are the caretakers of the land. And so they don't really own it. And as far as I know, in this particular case, there is no port, military base, or buildings on this property that they want money for because they say they own it. My opinion is if anybody owns it, it belongs to the state of Nevada, and they should be the ones that are after Bundy for collecting these cattle grazing fees. And I believe Bundy's already said that he was willing to pay Nevada, not the federal government. But the media wants, everyone to think that this guy is a freeloader and, not dealing with the government, which he isn't. He doesn't want to deal with the government in this case. And they also said that this was an armed confrontation, that the BLM backed off because they were afraid someone was going to get hurt. I don't see that in this case. Yes, it was an armed confrontation in that both sides, some of the people on the protester side were carrying firearms, which is their right. It's not against the law. And the BLM was armed. But the only ones pointing guns at anybody was the BLM. None of these people are pointing firearms at the BLM. So my thought is, if to be an armed confrontation, both sides are pointing guns at each other, which is the way the media wants to make you believe that this is the way this happened. Anybody watching this, and thank God we have pictures and video of the incident here on the internet that shows that, even though there were armed people on the protester side, they weren't pointing guns at the BLM, So, that irritates me, that the media is so one-sided and so for the government agenda that they won't honestly report on this confrontation down there. And I used to live in Nevada, so I kind of feel for this guy, and glad everybody showed up. The other thing is, since when does the BLM dress like the military? This is BLM SWAT, I guess. And, I thought this was over lack of payment for grazing fees, but our federal government, the BLM, feels it necessary to send in military personnel and snipers above this guy's house to deal with him owing a bill. I mean, he didn't threaten. If he had threatened anybody, they would have went in and took him. I mean, arrested him. But they're not doing that. They didn't, really arrest anybody. they took the kids and held them for a few hours and then let them go. But this is the major thing that really pisses me off, is that this is the government's response to somebody that doesn't pay what they feel they're owed. They send in, I mean, these guys are military. You know, they call themselves BLM, but I mean, they're pretty well tacked out here. Full battle rattle and all that. So when does not paying your bill justify having armed soldiers steal your cattle and come to your house and put snipers up on the hill? I mean, if that's not an overreaching authoritarian government that's corrupt and out to get you, I don't know what is. And if the people can't see it, they can't see that this is a little extreme for a guy that didn't pay his grazing dues for 20 years. The way to deal with this is in the courts, you know, and deal with it and deal with it and deal with it and fine him more and more and more until you get your money or you foreclose on his property. But you don't send in soldiers because the guy owes, you know, money. I mean, if you don't pay your taxes, are you going to get a visit from military? I mean, these guys, this isn't BLM. Since when does the BLM dress like soldiers? I mean, you know, it just upset me to even see this, you know, and it should upset everybody, you know, for a simple case of lack of payment. We're going to send the military out. We're going to put snipers above your house. We're going to threaten your life because you didn't pay your grazing fees. And then all the protesters show up, and now they're going to threaten the lives of the protesters, you know. And then also the free speech zones just was so ridiculous. Yeah, you know, the Constitution says free speech. From sea to shining sea, that's your free speech zone. There are no free speech zones in the U.S. So it was ridiculous for them to put up fences and say you can speak here, but you can't speak anywhere else. You know, people are arrested for stepping out of the free speech zone and speaking. And then they also had a zone for the media. You know, I just wish the mainstream media would report like they're supposed to report, do their homework, do what they're, you know, that's their job, is to report the news thoroughly, not be one-sided and in the pocket of the government. You know, that's why I watch alternative media, because they tend to tell the truth. You know, some of those guys are a little radical, but at least you're getting the truth out of it, and you can pick more truth out of that than you can CNN, ABC, CBS, and Fox. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this whole situation. Regardless if Bundy's right or wrong, this is not the way the government is supposed to handle this. You know, but this is the way the people should be handling tyranny and overreaching government. And I've scrutinized this picture, and I don't see any mainstream media down here on the front lines. They're all up here on the overpass like scared little dogs. I mean, how can you accurately report from up there? Social media had reporters down here on the front lines. Matter of fact, when they walked up to the gate, they were there. ABC, CBS, NBC, or whoever reported on it was up here. They can't see much or hear much. You know, just a bunch of chicken shits. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the whole situation. I think having a militarized BLM, Bureau of Land Management, these guys are the caretakers of property, and they got to dress like this, fully armed with ARs and full battle uniforms. It's just ridiculous, and it should upset every patriotic American out there. Thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe. We'll see ya.